My name is H.A. Goodman, and I'm an author, columnist, and journalist. Hit subscribe right now. You definitely want to be on this channel when with all this insanity going down. This is breaking news. Broward judge will not issue injunction in Rick Scott motion to impound Broward election equipment and records. This is horrible news. Now, it's horrible news. I hope and I pray, and I'm thinking Rick Scott will eventually win. Because you cannot, this is an overt fraud taking place. The DNC primary was an overt fraud. And Bernie Sanders was okay with it. It was a problem then, but it's not a problem now because Trump is a really bad human being. But this is insane. Rick Scott's up 57,000 votes. Then, now he's only up by, 10, 15,000. Now today, Broward judge will not issue injunction in Rick Scott motion to impound Broward election equipment and records. Why won't the judge allow Rick Scott and Florida to inspect, to take possession, to see of these voting machines, ballots, to see if there's evidence, actual hard, direct evidence of foul play. That's what they do all the time. Democrats say, well, there's no evidence of anything. Then the WikiLeaks DNC emails come out. Then Debbie Wasserman Schultz resigns. Then they say, well, it wasn't us. It was Russia. But let's read this. Injunction denied. That's the decision Monday from a Broward Circuit Court judge at an emergency hearing involving a lawsuit filed by Florida Governor Rick Scott, asking to impound ballots and machines at the Broward election office. They want to see what's going on with those machines. They want to make sure that all the ballots are legit. They want to inspect the evidence, the ballots and the machines, to ensure that Broward County didn't do what one judge the other year said. One judge stated that they illegally destroyed ballots. So it's like they illegally destroyed ballots, and yet we already have evidence of Broward County illegally destroying ballots. We know that from one ruling. A judge ruled that. That's in the Tim Canova, Debbie Wasserman Schultz race in 2017. So instead of granting the injunction, this is just now Miami CBS Local. Instead of granting the injunction, Judge Jack Tudor suggested the addition of 3 additional armed Broward Sheriff's deputies at election headquarters who do not report directly to election supervisor Dr. Brenda Snipes like the other deputies do. How is that any different? So these sheriffs are not going to... Anyone in Broward County is going to do what's best for Broward County, not what's best for Rick Scott or for the country. That's just whether it's the sheriff or whether it's the election officials, or whether it's people like Debbie Wasserman Schultz or any of the Democrats there. It is controlled by the Democratic Party. You're talking about Tammany Hall. You're talking about a political machine. And this is the heart of a political machine. So to say that, well, we've found some sheriffs who don't report to Miss Snipes, well, what does that matter? They're part of Broward County. What does that matter? That's ridiculous. So they're going to oversee whether the voting machines are working well or whether the ballots are all legal. This makes absolutely no sense. And it's ridiculous. Judge Tudor allowed the attorneys to meet privately and come up with a plan that everyone could agree on. And when court reconvened, all sides agreed to the suggested plan of 3 additional deputies. One will monitor cameras, one will monitor USB drives that contain votes, and the third will be a supervisor who the other 2 report to. They will not report to the supervisor's office. Republican Governor Rick Scott's U.S. Senate campaign filed 2 new lawsuits Sunday, one demanding law enforcement impound and secure voting machines, tallies, and ballots in Broward and Palm Beach counties anytime they were not actively in use. Quote, what we are asking the court to do is to remove any doubt, take away the concerns of the citizens, take away the concerns of the public. This election process will be protected, stated attorney for Rick Scott. All you have to do, Your Honor, to take away that doubt, to fix the erosion of this process, is to grant this injunction. Allow Broward County sheriffs to monitor the votes when they are not in use. We are not asking the court to have Broward County sheriffs overseeing or standing over the shoulder of people who are counting the votes. We are not asking Broward County Sheriff's Office to interfere with any count whatsoever. We are asking the court, when these ballots and the voting machines are not in use, to have someone other than Dr. Snipes, other than someone who listens and reports to Dr. Snipes, to be part of the inspection process. Dr. Snipes has already been deemed as illegally destroying ballots by a judge in 2017. If the tables were turned, you would have CNN, you would have MSNBC, you would have the Washington Post and New York Times write endless stories about this. Even if Republicans lose Florida, they'll still be up over Democrats. They'll still have the Senate lead, but it won't be the lead that they deserve. You're looking at Arizona, that there's almost certainly something wrong with Arizona, but that could have been just, okay, more Democrats voting in Arizona this year. But this, if Rick Scott loses this race, this contest, because of everything from malfunctioning, and this is all documented, malfunctioning voting machines, boxes that are just lying around everywhere that double as office supply boxes. People actually voting twice. I actually did, or attempting, I should say, to vote twice. I actually did a segment on that. Check that one out. And now this, I mean, this is like overt fraud. Broward canvassing attorney countered by saying security is extremely tight at the facility. Nobody is able to move about in these areas without proper documentation, period. Yeah, right. They have not presented anything to suggest that someone got into this area and someone had access to manipulating anything. They're just saying we'd be more comfortable if we could somehow get an order from this judge to at least imply that intervention was necessary because we didn't trust Dr. Snipes. Yeah, Dr. Snipes should not be trusted because we already know that a judge has stated in the Tim Canova, Debbie Wasserman Schultz contest that she illegally destroyed ballots. That's a fact. So they're asking for, when voting machines are not in use, to have those voting machines protected. The judge says, "Well, we won't do that, but we'll give you some sheriffs that don't answer to Dr. Snipes," which is not even, has nothing to do with what was initially asked. Then, of course, oh yeah, false claims of voter fraud. When you have statistical anomalies, 57,000 vote lead, and then it just dwindles to 15,000 in a matter of a day. Sorry, even in Broward County, that wouldn't make any sense. Give me your thoughts below. I'll put the link below. Broward judge will not issue injunction in Rick Scott motion to impound Broward election equipment and records. I wonder why. Give me your thoughts. And this is just simply to ensure that the ballots weren't tampered with or won't be tampered with when they're not being counted. And the voting machines won't be tampered with when they're not being in use. And the judge still said no. Very bizarre. Hit subscribe. Give me your thoughts below. Thank you so much for listening.